Hello, my name's Ross, lead consultant at Geordie Consulting, and of course, unfortunately for you, the face of Geordie Intelligence. We're going through our Power BI 101 course at the moment. Welcome to week 2. If you haven't done week 1, I'd recommend you do it, talking about how you do those first bits, the extract, transform and load phase of a data model. Okay, we've now got a data model, so we need to just finish that off and tinker a little bit more with it, and we'll write our first couple of DAX statements as well. Now the dull and boring bit. Geordie Intelligence. It's a YouTube channel. YouTube channels are entirely dependent on subscriber counts, likes and comments. Okay? If you don't interact with us, the YouTube algorithm thinks that nobody cares, nobody loves us. I get very upset. I may cry. So why not do me a favour? Like, subscribe, leave a comment. So this is where we started, isn't it? We've got our data set and we've remembered, haven't we, that we can do all these fun things with the interactivity around the data set. So if we pick on 2017, we can see it cross-highlights the others. Okay, so the other chart is cross-highlighted. That interactivity is what gives Power BI the power. But what we've done so far, we haven't really written any measures. We've just dragged through, in this case, sum of sales, so the total sales, which has been great. It's done an auto calculation for us, and we can see from the way the aggregation is that we can also change that. So right at the top, if we click on that, we can see it says, do you want to change from sum to average, minimum, max, count, and so on and so forth. So we could actually do quite a lot there. One of the issues that you might find is that if you decided, well, you know what, we want to do this multiple times, is if we try to bring it in multiple times, we couldn't, which on the surface seems like quite a trivial thing. But the reality is that because we can't bring it in multiple times, we couldn't do something, for example, if we wanted to see, well, what's the minimum sale and the maximum sale in a given period? What's the average sale versus the total sales? These are things that potentially our business might want. And that's then where we have to start to write measures so that we've got distinct instances that can be brought into the chart. Okay? Additionally, we might want to do something a little bit more comprehensive or more complicated than just a simple sum or count that we get. There's not a huge amount there that you've really got. There are some very interesting things. So having things like median as well as average, so median and mean is great. Mode isn't really there, okay? Mode is always a fun one. We won't be covering mode in this course, so don't worry, okay? But we've got everything that you could want here, right? As a basic. So you can certainly do an awful lot of analysis just by dragging in numbers into it. Now they do have to be numbers. So you can see we've got these columns here with the little number sign or the total, which means they can be aggregated because they are numbers. In the event, for example, in our calendar table where we've got years, for example, we can see this has been set to text rather than a number. Okay, we do that within Power Query so that it never comes through as something as a number. So we have year set as a text largely to stop that. You can, of course, have it as a number, and what you could do, so what I'll do is I'm going to change it to a number, okay, because you might have this situation. So I'm going to say in here, the data type, I'm going to change the data type to whole number, okay. It's going to say, do you want to change it? Yeah, that's fine. Apologize that we're flying around the screen a bit. But then what we're going to do is instead of saying, sorry, for here, we've got the summarization. We want to make sure we've got it set to don't summarize, okay. By default for numbers, it'll often say summarize as something else, as sum, okay. But you can always do that. So in the event that you've got a core field that you need to be a number and you don't want it to ever to be summarized, do that. And then if people drag it in to use it as an axis, it will be treated as a category. So if we bring in years, you see we've got years as categories here, haven't we? Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot we can see that goes on there, and there's a lot that will allow us to progress. One of the things that we probably wouldn't want, for example, might be discount. See, this is one which would be an interesting one. You might want to do a histogram of discount, what numbers of discounts that we kind of offered. But anyway, okay? See, so many options that you can do. And remember, because they're all interactive, it makes it very space efficient, because the ability to rapidly cross-highlight or filter, depending on how you set them up, makes for some quick things. Okay, measures. Let's zoom out. The first thing I'm going to do, okay, and this is recommended, this is something I do all the time, it's definitely something that I'd recommend you do, okay? You can just create measures in any table that you've got there, okay? But if you do that, you may struggle to find them later, okay? So one of the things I recommend is going through, and at the top, you'll see we've got this Enter Data button. If we click Enter Data, it will open up a Create Table dialog for us. And I'm just going to call this DAX Measures, okay? So we've given it a name. And then this time I'm going to click Load. So move out of the way a little bit, you see, Load. We're not going to edit the in query editor, we're just going to create this. We've got one column, okay? And we need to hide the column, but we can't hide it straight away. So then we're going to write our first measure. Okay, so we've got DAX Measures here. So I'm going to select the table, and then on the three dots next to it, we can click and create a new measure. And it'll bring a dialog up here. I'm just going to expand that down there. Okay, and what I'll do actually, let me just zoom in a bit on this, because we can zoom out, can't we? Okay, so we've got the measure. So how about we call this total orders, okay? That's going to equal count rows, okay? And IntelliSense is here. So count rows will count, and you can see, if this gets out of the way. Let's put the table in, the orders, won't it? Okay. So count rows counts the number of rows in a table. So IntelliSense within Power BI, it tells you the context of what it's doing. So there's a lot already built in there. So what this is going to do is give us a count of the orders table. And if you remember, the orders table is the distinct orders that we've got. So that's going to be helpful for us, isn't it? We're going to count rows of orders as our first measure, okay? And then I'm just going to click away, and you'll see on the right-hand side it says total orders. Now what I can do is I can click on the three dots next to column 1. I'll just zoom in a bit so you can see that, okay? And watch the column, or the table, sorry, watch this whole table. So I'm going to click there, and I'm going to bring this down to hide, okay? So we're going to hide that column from the model. We're not going to see it. Click hide, and you see suddenly it brings DAX Measures to the top, and it puts it with a little calculator type icon, okay? So we now know in DAX mode, or in Power BI land, this is just measures that are in here. So it just helps us to classify and categorize those measures, okay? So we've got total orders. We could choose as well to do the same with, let's create a new measure, okay? This is going to be total products equals count rows products. Okay, and we can see at the top, we've got the formatting for that measure that we've just created. So it's saying it's going to be a whole number, which is exactly right. It's a count of rows. We can't have half a row. We can set the formatting there. If it was something special that we were creating, like a URL or something like that, you can do things here. These are based around what it is. So as I say again, it would know if this is a barcode, you would expect it to become a barcode when you put it into a matrix table, for example. If something else, there's things you can do with it. So click OK there. What other tables have we got? So we've got customers, so it's orders is the one we need. Customers, sorry. It's the one that's missing, isn't it? So go new measure, total customers equals count rows, that one I can spell, customers. Okay? So we've got that. Let's click away. Is it right in that? Yeah, got that. Okay. Oh, this Zoom's doing me head in. Okay, so we've got everything that we would need there. We've got our 3 core totals that we've got, and then what we need for the sales here. Okay, we're going to need our measures around sales. So let's start with profit, quantity, and sales. How would we do for those? Okay, so if we click on the 3 dots again, let's go to a new measure. Okay, and what you can do is you can do the start button and full stop to bring up this, because we might say, well, we want to bring in the total sign. Start button, full stop, you can bring those in. So total sales amount equals sum, and then that's going to be of the table sales and the column, so square bracket sales, close brackets. Okay, so we've said we're going to sum a column from a table, so sum the table name and the column, close brackets, and that just means we're going to sum that. That's all that's happening when we've dragged that measure through, is it's writing this behind the scenes, so we don't have it. But then what we could do is we could say, well, let's go and create another new measure. Average sales amount. Okay? And that's going to be the average of that column. So we've gone through, we've averaged the column. So what's the average of it? And this is where we previously couldn't do something like that, could we? So for this, it's going to be a decimal number, isn't it? So we need to decide how we want it to be. But it needs to, but it's going to be a currency as well, isn't it? So we know this is currency. So what we can do is we can say this is currency. It's dollars, isn't it, for this? English United States. 2 decimal places, that's fine. And I'm going to do the same for the sales amount. So we're going to say, click on there, pick English United States, sales amount of 2, okay, for our currency. But for this, what we'll do, because this is going to be a larger number, we're going to say, no, we don't care about the cents at this point, okay? So it's still calculating it, but because we're not bringing it through, we're just not showing it. So formatting it rather than it's not, the number still exists in the model, or would still exist with all decimal points. For it's not being stored, it's in DAX, it's just calculated. But yeah, okay. So now, for example, what we could do is we could say, well, we've got this, we could bring in our total sales amount into our measure that we've just written here, and we could bring in the average sales amount as well. And we could see, oh, okay, these are 2 things. So we could put the average on the secondary sales axis, and we could see how the 2 interplay. So we've quickly and easily been able to build a measure set, and if we were to pick California, we'd be able to see that would filter it based on California, New York, Texas. So we can start to actually gauge and see what's happening at any given point in time. We could look at anything and have it all updating effectively that way. So we've done some simple measures, haven't we? Okay. Now, one of the things that often happens is that you're going to move beyond simple. Okay, what do I mean by that? So let's create a new page, and let's keep this pretty simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag year from my calendar into filters on this page, and I'm going to pick is 2016. Okay, I'm going to apply that filter. We're going to bring in month name. Okay, and you're going to see, oh, it's alphabetical. Okay. Now this is something, again, it's part of the modelling cycle that we bring through and what we need to do with this. And the issue is, of course, it's sorted it by the alphabet. what we've got is we've got options around here. We've got month. So what we can do is we can highlight month name, and then on the top where it says column tools, you can see underneath there we've got sort by column. So I'm going to pick to sort this by month. Okay, and you'll see January, February, March. So month is the numeric that we've got for the month. So it goes 1 to 12, whereas the name is of course alphabetical, which is silly. But yeah, you can sort that, you can go through and do that. Likewise, you do the same for days, and it makes life much easier. Okay, so you'd have days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you'd want those to sort correctly. Okay, so the question would be, wouldn't it? I want to know how much was sold and how much was shipped. Okay, that's kind of the thing. So if I came through and said, right, create me a measure to show me the total shipped, or total sold, sorry, right, in terms of the number of items, okay, because that might be something we want to know. We want to know what's the number of items sold. Let me expand that down so we can see what I'm typing. Oh, it's going to be infuriating today, isn't it? There we go. Right. Let's bring that in again. Let's put in our little math symbol. Oh my goodness me. I'm not going to do that again. Total quantity sold equals sum of sales quantity. Okay, so we're quantity that we've sold, right? And we know that's sold, don't we? Based on, that's what we've put in the relationship view. If you remember the relationship from last week, we've got two lines. So the order date and the ship date, one's active, so it's the ordered, so the sold has been ordered, versus the shipped. We'd want to know how many were shipped in that period as well, wouldn't we? So let's go back through to here. And how would we do that? So we can bring in this chart. I'm going to bring it back to being a table as well. So we're leaving it as a table. Yep, good. Okay, total quantity sold. And then we're going to create a new measure. Okay, and this one's going to be a little bit more complicated, because what we need to do is we need to, in the terms of Power BI, is we need to change the context. So we need it to use that dotted line relationship, that passive relationship. Okay, so this is going to be total quantity shipped. Okay, and that's going to equal, and this time, because we have to change the context, I'm going to go to a new line, so shift enter. I'm going to calculate. So this here, so this evaluates an expression in a context modified by filters. So what we can do is we can say, well, calculate. Now I could use the other one, but I'll type it out again. So a new line, sum, open brackets, sales up, quantity. Okay, so I could have used the total ordership, but let's do it this way, and then we'll bring that back in and we can talk about why that works and what's going on. Okay, we need to filter it. So the filter that we're going to apply is we need it to use the dotted line, don't we? We need to use a different relationship. So that's going to be use relationship, and it's going to be calendar date, comma, it's orders, isn't it? Orders, it's order date, okay? Close brackets, which is interesting. I just thought about that. This might not be working. This might not work the way we expect it to. It'd be interesting to find out, won't it? Okay? Shift enter, and then we're going to close brackets to complete that. Okay? It's going to be a whole number again. Everything's as it should be. If we click away, let's get rid of that. And now let's bring total order shipped into our table. Okay. what an idiot I am, eh? I just realised I spent like 5 minutes going, what's going on? Why is this not working? It helps if I remember. Ordered and ship dates, doesn't it? Okay? Ship date, I wrote order date before. Ship date is the important thing. We can see we're now using what was shipped that month versus what was sold that month. There's a number, okay? And that's a really important thing to be able to understand, because what we do within analytics, and as it becomes bigger, it's about actually starting to look at it from different people's context, right? So my sales team will be really aware and focused on sales. So what was sold, what was sold, what was sold, what was sold, okay? I'm going to have an inventory management team and a warehousing team who are interested in, we need to order new stock in, we need to get stock pushed out, who are going to be more interested in how much is shipped, because potentially that's got an impact on where are we, what's going on. So there's a different context there. And then lastly, we're also going to have potentially, we'd have our customer satisfaction teams who'd be looking at, well, when was it delivered, if we had a delivered date for there. And then money received, like kind of like payments received date. Potentially not for something like this, might be an online ordering where payment will be received before the things are shipped. But if you think for an organization, there could be multiple dates throughout it. And being able to use Calculate to redefine the context of the measure makes it very possible for that whole gambit of business use cases to be serviced by one single semantic model, which is hugely powerful. So what we've got now is we've got this, haven't we? And we can see our number of measures is kind of growing. And we think, well, this is getting a bit awkward, isn't it? We probably want to do something about this. And there's a few things that we should probably do. So I've just minimized those. Let's zoom in back in here, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is let's hide the sales table, okay? So we're going to left click on it. It's all behind my head at the moment. So I'm going to bring it down a bit here. What we've got is hide, okay? Hide. Now, this is something that is definitely best practice. If you've got a proper data model, you should be able to hide the fact tables, because there's nothing in them that's of interest. There's nothing descriptive. There is only the source for aggregations. And if we're going to have measures for it, why would we need those? The last thing that we're going to do, and this is something which is relatively new, sort of not new, but it is, not many people are doing it, but it's worth knowing how to do it, is we're going to come to our model view again, okay, and where we've got the measures here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on total products to total customers, okay, these are just like the rows, aren't they, the count row measures. And what you can see here is we've got home table, let me zoom in a bit on this, okay, so we've got the home table, a description of them, got this, but at the bottom we've got this display folders, so we're going to go I'm just going to call this count rows, okay? Just keeps it simple, doesn't it? And you can see it puts a new measure, a new table in there, or a new folder, and hides them away. So we've got that. It just helps to make it a little bit more efficient, doesn't it? Sales amount, so we can put this in here, okay? And of course, Microsoft tells us we've got Copilot, doesn't work, okay? When you're not signed in, it doesn't work. Okay, and I said we would do all this without signing in. What we can do is we can write this as the sum of the sales column let's move the mouse out of the way to give us a total sales amount in USD. Okay, let me just correct that. Okay, so we've got that, and then I'm going to put this in display folder, sales amount. Okay, we've got the average sales amount. Again, we can write a measure for this. Mean sales amount. And this time what I can do is I can drag this and put this into the sales amount column, or table, sorry. yeah, folder, that's the one, column, table, folder. And you can keep going on and you can do that for everything. So we can do that. So let's go put these two. I'm just going to highlight these two. Oh, put these in the display folder. Let's go quantity sold. Okay, you can also nest within these if you really want to. You can. So you have to put the slash in there. So we could do, for example, ship date, order date as the main classification, and then have sales or quantities. Or there's lots of things you can do. You can get very complicated with it though very quickly. Okay, but for now, what we've done is we've created a nice, simple way of looking at those. So if we come back through to our main measure or our main window, we can see it's moved them. Hasn't affected any of the visuals that use them, so that's great. And also what we can see if we look at the sales amount ones where we've written in here, if we now expand this DAX, you'll see there is nothing being added to the measure, which is important. Okay, that description is in a different part of the DAX model for it. We'd probably be able to see it actually in the TMDL view. Should we have a look at that actually? This is new. This is something that came out just a couple of weeks ago. So I haven't enabled it in here, but we will talk about how to enable preview features for you to have a look at. I'll have to close this and reopen it, but we can do that. So to bring in preview features, we go to File, go to Options and Settings, and we go to Options. And a window will appear. And then in here, like we've had before, we can see we've got preview features. I'm going to click that. One of the ones lots of people should be putting on, and I'll just zoom in on this, okay, is shape map. It's one, we'll get lots of people asking about that, shape map. The rest, it's up to you which ones you want. I would say tick the OneDrive and SharePoint if you're signed in, of course. If you're not signed in, can't use them. Okay, got a few other things that we can go through here, but right down here, we've got TMDL view. So it's brand new TMDL view. So we're going to click OK. And it tells us we need to restart for it. Okay, so I will zoom out of here. I'm going to close this, save what we've done. Okay, so whenever opening it, you see it comes through, it says, oh, you need to log in. No, I don't want to log in. Not giving you my credentials. Okay, and I'm still able to use it. So it's important to remember that. So let's see, this new TMDL view. I'm going to click to try it now. Okay. Okay, so let's create a new script. Script 2, let's see, can we bring in, which one was it? It was salesman, wasn't it? Yeah, okay. So did you see? So we can update this, create a replace, but we can see we've got a column in here, or sorry, a comment in here, 3 slashes. Okay, so we can go through, this is one of the things which is brand new, you can start to do things in here. And we could look and see what can we use with this. So one of the things that people are going to start to do is to start to copy out these scripts and save them in something like GitHub. And we will be doing that as we do more advanced things, and we'll put them up on our GitHub so you guys can access them. But it's nice to be able to see this is actually where that description goes and how it all pieces together. That this is, in essence, this whole thing here is that DAX measure that we've written. Okay, so you can see it's quite simple, the sum. We can see we've got the format string for it, the display folder, got a GUID, so globally unique identifier that tells it actually what it is. Okay, and then we've got some other things as well in terms of the format for it. Okay, but back in our model, which is all we really care about, we've got that. So what we need to do now is think, well, we could do with actually having a sales amount, couldn't we, by shipped, couldn't we? So we're going to create a new measure. total sales amount shipped equals, oh, it's zoomed out again, hasn't it? Zoomed in. This is going to be calculate sum of sales, comma, can you remember what it was? We need to use a different relationship, don't we? So we're going to say use relationship, calendar date with orders, ship date. Okay, and another thing, close brackets. But you'll see what this does, if we zoom in here, is it creates it outside the folder. And when you're in this view, you can't drag and move it around. Okay, it's really good you can't. You used to be able to do drag and drop and things, and it used to cause all sorts of problems. They've moved it now. They used to be able to create hierarchies from here, just drag things around, and yeah, chaos ensued quite easily. You can still do it under the modeling view, so we'll go into the modeling view for this, which is of course where we would need to go. Okay, so come through here. We're going to go to our model view. That's what we said, wasn't it? Total amount shipped, and of course we can now bring this into our total. Okay. We can see we've got some synonyms for it, all those kind of things. We need to tell that this is going to be currency. 1,000 separators are useful. Then we want general currency. No, it is going to be USD. No decimal places, just so that we're the same as the other one, as it was before. Okay. And it's everywhere we need it to be. So what we can now do is come back through to our DAX view. Let's zoom out of here a bit, and let's bring in the two sales pieces. So firstly, let's bring in sales amount, and on the right hand side, I'm just going to put that in this side, and then we've got the total amount shipped. Okay, and you should hopefully see that our totals are different. We've got everything going on, and we can see now, so we could actually start to look and see what's happening with this. We could actually look and see, well, what's the difference? Because that's kind of one of the questions that we'd have, isn't it? So difference calculations can now be done very simply within here. So if we click on the three dots of the visual, we've got the new visual calculations, and we can see some information in terms of what's going on. So we could have a running sum. So we could put in a running sum, for example. So we want a running sum of, pick the field. So let's go for total sales amount. Okay. Now this used to be a bit of a pain to have to do these things. So RS sales, running sum sales, okay. Probably not the neatest, but we can see. We've got running sum of sales. So we could create a new one. So this is going to be RS shipped equals running sum of total sales amount shipped. Okay. So we can see how that goes through. We could then look and see, well, let's look at difference, which equals, let's go sales amount minus total sales amount. Okay, so we can see actually what's the variance, how much hasn't been shipped yet, so what's missing. There'd be ways of calculating, or things that you would want to see for this, probably more at an orders level. But the point of this is we've just shown very quickly, very easily, these visual calculations can be added in. The issue that you have with visual calculations, and it is a big issue, is they only exist in the context of that visual. Okay, they do not exist outside the visual. Okay, so we couldn't then go and use these elsewhere. So if we come back to the report, We can see this could be brilliant for showing my team, where are we with these things. We could have our core things that we want to look at. We could have, for example, there's a question, well, why is this 10,000 more? Is it 10,000 more? That's an interesting one. Why is that? There's definitely something odd going on with that. How have we shipped more than we've sold? Anyway, we can work through this. There's definitely some questions I think that would need to be worked through. But effectively what we're saying is that there's always kind of a variance of, say, $2,000 is what we'd expect, between 2,000 and, say, 10,000, plus or minus, which is 20,000 variance in terms of where we can be between we've got orders and they've shipped, that there's potentially 10,000 in stock, or a number of items. We could do that with items, for example, might be a better one to do it with. And you could then look, because we've got the interactivity of it, of course, haven't we? So we could go to products, and we could say, well, let's do a slicer for this. So let's put in, I'll tell you what, let's make a hierarchy. So this is easier, shall we? So we're going to bring in category first, and let's create a new hierarchy, category hierarchy, then we're going to add that to the hierarchy. So 3 dots, add to hierarchy, and then lastly, let's add this to the hierarchy. Okay, so we've got this hierarchy that we've suddenly got here. If we zoom in, see it goes category, subcategory, product name, which makes sense for a hierarchy. Just to make it even easier, what I'm going to do is I'm going to left click on the 3 dots, I'm going to hide category, left click on the 3 dots, and I'm going to hide product name, and left click on 3 dots, I'm going to hide subcategory. I would probably hide product ID as well, because we might not really want to see that in a report. So I'm going to hide that as well. So what we've really got now is, if we double click, I can rewrite and change the name of this. Let's call it product information. Okay. And now what we can do is, we've got nothing selected on the page. If we select product information and we zoom back out, we've got that in here. So let's change this to be a slicer. Okay. And now what we can do is, where we've got this here, let's move this way. Right? Is I could say, well, I'm interested in technology, and we can see technology is now updated. Office supplies, what's going on with the office supplies, furniture. And we could do the same across any of our other areas. So we've built a hierarchy now to make it easier for us to assess things. So how's it going? What we've got now is, we've actually started to write some DAX statements, haven't we? And we've managed to write our first calculate statement, so that we can look at the difference between the orders that have been placed and the orders that have shipped. And understanding that variance would be something it's very industry specific. You could look at like a manufacturing site where you really don't want to have huge amounts of stock in play, and use that quantity count as opposed to the value count to look at, well, how much stock are we potentially, or should we look to hold to minimize that? And you could do, there's analysis that you could do around certain product lines. See, well, there's a lot going on. We could use a difference calculation to calculate the difference between the ship date and the order date. So actually, how long did it take to ship? And compare that against ship methods, of course, because were these on time? Did these ship late? There's a lot that can be done. Okay? But stop. Okay? Remember, all this came from a CSV file. So that one simple CSV file is suddenly able to start to serve up a whole lot more information than potentially we even realized we could get from it. And this is one of those really big learning things that you need to kind of go, oh, I get it now, within Power BI and within big data analysis. As you're going through and analyzing stuff, you're uncovering more and more information about a data set. If you think, when I looked at this, when we looked at putting this out and shared it, there was actually, oh, here's the 2019 version. So we could expand this and see, well, we've got another couple of years of data in it. and suddenly we'd be getting more information out. What we're going to do next week though is we're going to look, because one of the things I did was around the customers, and we knew it wasn't the right thing to do, and as well I think we need to tweak the orders, so we're going to change the data model. And I think this is something that's important to see, because as you progress with the data model, it becomes necessary that it goes through changes, and those changes can require updates to the DAX measures. It's important to understand that, and we'll go through and we'll do that. What we're also going to do next week is we will put together, I will sign into it and I will publish this report to my workspace, okay? Okay. Or actually I'll set up a workspace for us, but I'll publish it to the Power BI service, because there's something else that you need to see about Power BI and really where it comes and where the kind of the step change is within Power BI as opposed to some of the other platforms. But I think it's really important that you see that first, and then, as I say, week 4, what we're going to do is we're going to prepare, and the aim is to do like a live build. So we'll do a live session. Of course, it's free. We'll build a data set from scratch, different to the one we've done, but we'll go through and do similar things and see what you'll think of it. Before all that though, of course, if you guys feel that you want professional services support from our main organization, from our consultancy business, why not reach out to us? Email is consulting@geordieconsulting.co.uk. We look forward to hearing from you. Stay safe, take care, ta-da.